still leaking. I was hoping I was going to get over here and it had either done some sealing self-repair, or it just was a dream or nightmare that I actually threw something through the oil pan. But I guess neither one of those worked out. So I'm going to go ahead and take this thing apart, see what kind of damage we got. Hopefully it's not too bad. I mean, we'll see. It's racing. You never know what's going to happen. You never can tell. These things are ticking time bombs. I don't care who built it. I don't care who assembled it. Who done the machine work. It doesn't matter. They're always ticking time bombs. So let's get this thing apart. As you can see, the rod broke. So it was a failed connecting rod. But this was my smoky hole, so I don't know exactly what happened. I mean, there's a chance that oil got in there, and at the 46 pounds of boost, it caused it to detonate. There's also a chance that crank, I'm trying to look at it down in there, is definitely a little scarred up. It might have to be welded. So I don't know. I mean, luckily it come off, but most likely probably what happened is that bearing, it either detonated and beat out the bearing, and then the bearing or the rod grabbed the crankshaft. When the rod grabbed the crankshaft, it caused it to break. That's probably what happened, most likely. You know, I was going to pull this thing apart in a few more races anyway to check everything out and to put rings in it. But I'm going to say probably what happened, the way that crank looks down there, and with the rod gone off the crank, it's not still attached. Most likely it was an oiling issue. Maybe it was the oil was too contaminated with methanol condensation. That was the third race on the oil. Usually I change it after 2, but it looked pretty good when at this race. At least I thought so. So, all right, we're going to keep taking it apart. The motor is out. We have an empty hole. Torque converter PTC. It's a bad piece. So again, we're fixing to disassemble it completely. You can see down in there a little bit better. We're going to see what kind of damage we got completely on the crankshaft. Hopefully we're going to be fine. I don't know. We'll see. We're going to pull it apart. One thing to think about when you pull these things out, something I used to do, which is a huge mistake, is I would put it on the engine stand immediately and turn it over. And then all the oil that's left in the oil pan goes into the motor, and then you make a great big mess. So it's best to always take the oil pan off while it's on the cherry picker. And you can see my pan. This is not my first rodeo with a broke rod. Clearly, apparently, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I keep breaking rods, but we keep welding up the oil pan. So, all right, we'll see what we got. Well, we were successful in getting it apart. Thanks for the help, Mikey.
Not a problem.
Woo! We'll get it apart. It's late, but it come apart. Block seems to be fine. No big issues there. So I think we're okay in the block. Looking at the rods and pistons, This is obviously the one that we had the failure with. It broke. I think what ended up happening, and you can see it destroyed it. All the other ones look real good. No real big issues. I did have one where the pin was a little loose on the rod. All the pistons are fine, so it's going to need one piston. All the other pistons are good. They're in good shape. Little scuffing, but nothing major. So they're going to get reused. We'll put new rings and bearings in it. I think what ended up happening, this motor, the crankshaft that I use, has got a 350 main. So this block is a 400 main. So I have to run spacer bearings to get the clearance right. And you know, a lot of people have done that in the past. I don't know many people that have done it at the horsepower level that I'm at. I mean, 1800 horsepower. That is the third time that I've used the spacer bearing though. I mean, the last few times I've rebuilt it, never had an issue out of it. But looking at it, what ended up happening, it looked like the spacer bearing lost its grip on the bearing that is on the crankshaft. And so the crankshaft started to spin a little bit. The bearing started to spin a little bit on the crankshaft. Didn't destroy the crankshaft at all. It is going to have to be turned. But overall, it's not too bad. It's in okay shape. I've just got to make a decision. The crankshaft that I have is a really nice crankshaft. The block that I have is a really nice block. But they are not exactly compatible. So I've got to make a decision. Am I going to reuse the spacer bearings again, or not use the spacer bearings, get another block, or get another crank? The only problem, if I get another crank, then I've got to get another set of pistons, most likely, because of the pin height. And here goes the crankshaft. It's a nice piece. It's a Bryant Racing crankshaft. And you can see on the end, 3.34 stroke. I mean, it's a nice piece. Very nice crankshaft. There's the rod that broke. Most of that material is on top. It's from the aluminum. So, I mean, I don't think it's that bad. The mains will probably have to be turned 10. The rods, hopefully they'll clear up at 10 as well. If not, then we'll see what happens. This is like a jigsaw puzzle. Connect the pieces. You can see the cap is still attached. The failure point on this one, it broke there. I mean, this was not the rod's fault. This was an oiling issue, pretty confident. So, you know, it is what it is. We're going to rebuild it, get it together. So at least on the heads, it looks like on the heads it only damaged, it bent one exhaust valve on this one. And then luckily this little piece stayed up in the bore. So, you know, and all this was gone. None of this was on the crankshaft at all. This was all in the oil pan. Every single bit of this was in the oil pan. So luckily, it didn't, you know, kill the block. Block feels like it might need a sleeve. It's not terrible. We'll let Richard look at it and see what happens. All right, so that's going to wrap it up. We got some repair work to do. We're going to see Richard Coates in the morning with the crankshaft. We'll see what happens. Appreciate it again, Mikey. Thanks for the help.
Anytime.
Subscribe and share and comment. Thanks. Don't forget to go fast. Get some wind lights.